What is poppin', y'all? We are back. Welcome to Ill Crimes. I'm your host, Shaw Ill, and we are back at it like bad habits. All right, salutes to you. I appreciate you for joining me here. Hopefully, more will come through. Right, and let's get it, man. We're gonna hang out and talk our shit today. All right, we're gonna hang out and talk our shit today. Let me knock these commands down. Shout out to the Nightbot. Got the Nightbot switched over here too. Boom. We are back. Okay. We are back. Let me lock that TTS to the top. Alright. Lock that TTS to the top. And we will get after it. Okay. Boom. That's pinned. Shout out Shannon. Shout out Big June. Shout out Zoraida. Welcome back. I appreciate y'all for being here. Alright. We'll see. We'll see how this works. We'll see how this goes. Alright. I mean, we already know what the show is like. It's just how YouTube is going to package this stuff up and send it out. Ya que estamos aquí. Now that we're here, I'm going to let it be known. Alright. There's shit to celebrate. I feel inspired. Right. I'm going to have a shot. Salutes. This shot right here, Zoraida, is for you. I appreciate you. Boom. I'm going to get that poured up. And I got me a little cervecita to get into these stories. Because let me tell you something. This David shit is kind of pissing me off. All right? The story itself already pisses me off. Let alone all the rest of the bullshit that's going along with it. But we're going to get into that in a minute. We're going to get into that in a minute. Alright. Yeah, it's just us in here for now. So we'll see. Alright, salutes to the pineapple. Pineapple. The mango is in the tuck though. The mango is it's in rotation. Alright. I earned that sip right there. Alright. I appreciate y'all. Again, we've suspended premieres for a little while. The videos will still be uploaded. The videos will still premiere. They just won't have a live chat. We're going to test that out and make sure that the algorithm is, doing everything it can to process our videos and get them to the right people. Sometimes when you do the premiere, it puts those processes off. And I've been doing only premieres for the last 3 years. 2, I believe, since we started going live. All right. What brand is what? The beer? Hard Mountain Dew. The only adult beverage that isn't just a regular beer. I drink my regular beer when I want to. You know what I'm saying? But if I don't want to be thinking that I'm drinking and tasting the drink, and I just want to taste, something different. You know how they got all these juice beers. This is the only one. No sugar, no acid reflux, no bullshit. Hard Mountain Dew. All right. Only problem I have with it is that it looks like any other can of Mountain Dew except it says hard on it, and it tastes so good and so not like liquor that a kid won't notice that he's drinking liquor until he's fucked up already. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't gonna be the one to notice it. Please believe it. Right? That's my only beef with it. But it's the only thing. I was digging the Amazon joints, but that was just too much sugar. There's no sugar shit, no hangover. Boom. Hennessy and Mountain Dew it is. And then they got like 6 flavors. They got the soda flavors. And then they got the Baja Blast pineapple, and the mango. Mountain Dew should give me a fucking sponsorship. I'm over here doing commercials and shit. You know what I mean? Sponsor me over here. Boom, now live. I know I am. All right, man. Let me pull up that work. Let's pull up that work. Hunter's up in the chat for y'all. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me. Boom, 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 boom. Let's get it. Try that. Yeah, it's a good one. 5% alcohol by volume and tastes great. I don't know what they sweeten it with, but whatever. All right. Let's get in YouTube. What should we touch on first? Salute to the Baja Blast. Salute to that shot of Henny. Bow. Let's get it. Coño, man. God damn. All right. Everybody take out your pen and your pad. Let's keep note of who didn't arrive to our second destination over here. All right. We're going to keep tabs of these motherfuckers. All right.
Yo vivo tranquila con los pelos. Cállate, hijo.
Yeah, shout out Shannon. I told you a while back, sweetener. Well, yeah, I know it's a sweetener. I don't know which one exactly. I don't know if it's aspartame or... I don't fuck with the aspartame. Either way, it ain't sugar. They sweeten with syrups with fancy names like basically fake sugar. All right. It is what it is at this point. I told my mother the other day she buying that soft ice cream. I said, stop buying that soft ice cream. What they putting in there for that to be soft? Well, if it ain't, it's too late for me. You don't need it. She's like, well, I put it in my body now. Fuck it. Don't worry about it. All right. Let's get this quickly out the way while we wait to see if they send out a noto. Did anybody get the notification for this? Again, this notification would have came earlier in the day and it would have looked like an Il Cartel live. But what happened was I was in the wrong channel and I scheduled the live. It's a lot of shit, man. Oh, you told me you looked it up? All right, my bad. I don't recall. Been a long time. Either way, it's probably not good for us. Probably bad. Yeah, I'm like, how that ice cream don't melt? Fuck are we talking about here? What was I talking about? I lost it for a second there. Let's see. Motherfucker. First we had the young lady on the bus that got poked up. I got this shit. All right, let's check this out.
Easy and stress free. Book your next car rental with the 6th app.
Lawrence Reed had no business being on the streets given his violent criminal history.
They're messing with all our food. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck going on out there. Hold on, I gotta put out a message in the Discord. We're gonna put up there. This is how I'm gonna do it too. How cold is it out here? I mean, not very cold. It was windy yesterday, but the temperature's dropping. And that snow's on its way. Right now it says 27 degrees. So the temperature has dropped. Gotta power up the soundboard. Temperature has absolutely dropped. Hold on, I'm gonna put in the Discord. We see you motherfuckers that didn't follow us. eyeball emojis, and a GIF. Bow, all right? Dropping threats. He said, damn it. 27 degrees, Popeyes. I got to go outside in the snow to get my smokes. I'm going to be single digit by morning. No mommy's weight.
No mommy's weight.
Fucked up. For me, at least, 27 degrees, hell to the no. Right now, I got my windows open. And my heat shut off, except for the one that can't shut off. But I got my windows open. I think I did. I can't see anything on the notification. Yeah, I'd rather be cold than hot. I gotten used to this bullshit, I guess. But I don't take it like I did as a kid. And as a kid, I could take the cold much better than I can now. All right. Boom, let's get it. Let's talk about this case in Chicago on the Blue Line. A train line that I'm very familiar with. All right, a federal terror charge on a Blue Line attack. The Blue Line is a train line that I'm very familiar with. It is a direct shot from the airport. Matter of fact, that train is inside the airport. So you can get off of your airplane, hop on the train, and come into the city, all right? Take you all the way downtown from the airport, okay? Very busy train. We recently covered the young lady. I don't remember where they were, but Buddy stood up from behind her and poked her in the neck, took her life, and now we got another one. Again, another person who had multiple cases for shit like this. They're not gonna do nothing until your life is taken. That's it. That's the bottom line. Nothing for you. We can't do nothing about it until something really, really bad happens. It got to make the news. You got to be able to talk about it. You know what I mean? Shout out Big June. I was out there shy one summer in 94, and the weather was crazy then, too. They had big blizzards back then. We didn't have a bad year in the last 3-4 years. So I'm convinced this year we getting our ass whooped, and I can't complain about it. We've had some good winters over here. Growing up, all I saw was blizzards. I've seen what 9 feet of snow looks like. So, that's me with the bullshit. Our bodies would adapt within 30 days, but no thanks. See, what I did? That's it. You start your cold plunge right now, you'll be ready for it, in no time. I ate too much Rice Krispies as a kid. Now I snap, crackle, and pop in the morning. Crunchy. Loose. Let's get it. Dude should have been in jail.
Lawrence Reed had no business being on the streets given his violent criminal history and his pending criminal cases.
This is a story that is going to get you angry. A 26-year-old woman has just been identified as the victim who was set on fire in a horrific random attack on a Chicago train. As Bethany McGee fights for her life, the suspect, Lawrence Reed, remains behind bars, at least for now, a man with dozens of prior arrests who is out on pre-trial release for another violent crime. We have learned new details about his apparent extensive criminal history, and we are going to break it all down with a Chicago trial attorney. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime.
That little girl had to be minding her business, and this fucking guy comes and does that shit to her. Minding her fucking business.
I'm Jesse Weber.
That's how racist shit gets pushed. For all we know, she's not a racist person, neither is her family. This is the type of shit that push people to that. Motherfuckers don't understand that, everything affects everything. Shout out Guillermo Rivas. Did I miss the David update? Salute Guillermo. Guillermo, are you family? No, you did not miss it. We haven't gotten there yet. We will be getting there, though, after this story. Salutes. Stick around if you like. Hit that like button if you have yet to do so. All right? If you're family, salutes to you. All right? But we've been following this on my other channel. We've been following this story on my other channel for a long time, and it's a story that aggravates the fuck out of me and pisses me off in many different ways. We had to put the brakes on it for a while because it was too much internet noise and bullshit, and it was making it hard to cover the story, but we will be getting our update today. All right, salutes to you. Shout out Shannon. Wasn't she napping? I don't know, Shannon. I didn't follow the story intentionally so that I can get to it with y'all. All right, because you know those stories make me mad and shit, you know.
Quick, before we jump into all this, 1-8.
Shout out to you, Guillermo. I appreciate you. Hang out if you like, but we'll be getting to that story shortly. I'm waiting for more people to come in so that, you know, and the notification to go out so that we can get to that. All right? Salute.
But affects, I don't know, everybody. Open enrollment is happening again. You know what that is? Comparing the exploitative premiums, the fine print of health insurance, to low cost.
Cut the shit, Jesse.
I am pissed. JoinCrowdHealth.com. I'm not going to lie to you. I am pissed.
I agree. I'm with you, bro. That's a little fucking girl, bro. It's a little girl.
Pissed, okay? I don't usually say this, but this is a case where I'm going to have an attorney on in a minute to try to explain it to me because I don't understand. I don't understand how this happened, and I don't understand how the person who is accused of committing this heinous attack was out, okay? We are tracking this case out of Chicago on a Blue Line train that is just as horrifying as it is baffling, as it is frustrating. A 26-year-old woman, Bethany McGee, was just riding home. She was minding her own business. She was looking at her phone, and in an instant, her life was changed forever for seemingly no reason.
No, that's it. Same thing with the other girl. For no fucking reason, man. For no reason, then a pussy, you know, not in his right mind, in his right mind. I don't give a shit. Doesn't matter to me. You know, decided it was her time. Why he didn't try that shit with somebody like me? Listen, I've been tried by little dudes on the train. You know what I'm saying? I just can't imagine these motherfuckers bullying little girls like that. Shout out Guillermo's been here before. Well, my apologies, Guillermo's. The problem is YouTube took everybody's name and then gave us everybody's handles. So I don't even know who's who anymore, but I appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you for that info. I'm subscribed to the channel. I have the notifications turned on and I didn't get a notification. El tubo lo caga every time.
Yo vivo tranquila con los pelos presos en la casa. Cállate, hijueputa.
Yeah, the notification never, on none of the channels. You know what I'm saying? None of the channels it goes out. It'll go out to a couple people. That's it, man. I'm under pressure, man. They got me suppressed. All right? Salutes. But salutes to you, Guillermo. I appreciate you. We'll get to it, though. I didn't either, Guillermo. El tubo. See, you didn't get one either. Good day, Shai. Shout out, Matthew. I hope you're all well on this beautiful Saturday. I don't even know what that is, Alvo. But hope you're having a great Saturday morning. All right? Over there in Tasmania. I wish I had a good Tasmanian devil impression. I do that shit right now. But my shit would sound like a turkey. But it's apropos. Thanksgiving time. All right. I'd like to break his shit, this guy right here. I'd like to break what's left in his mouth and cross his eyes up and shit like that, you know?
When a stranger poured gasoline on her and set her on fire in a completely unprovoked alleged attack. She was engulfed in flames for over a minute. And the criminal complaint, when you read this, it lays out the chilling, premeditated.
Afternoon. So it's afternoon already? God damn. Shout out, Matthew. Hope you're having a great afternoon, bro. Let's get it.
Steps that her alleged attacker, Lawrence Reed, that ones that he apparently took, and it was all caught, you guessed it, on tape. Just 20 minutes before this apparent ambush, surveillance video allegedly shows him at a gas station, appearing to pay the cashier and then pumping gasoline into a bottle. And what makes this tragedy so infuriating is that it was likely preventable, if this is all true. At a press conference, a federal agent revealed that this suspect was a known danger.
I got nieces. I don't want my nieces on no fucking train. I want my nieces trained. You know what I'm saying? Because motherfuckers is out of control out here, man. And they're doing it to women and children because they pussy.
Lawrence Reed had no business being on the streets given his violent criminal history and his pending criminal cases. Reed had plenty of second chances by the criminal justice system, and as a result, you have an innocent victim in the hospital fighting for her life.
Now, we've obtained and we've gone through the entire federal criminal complaint. We're going to break down exactly how this attack unfolded minute by minute. We've also dug into that lengthy criminal history, the number of prior arrests, the chances that this guy was apparently given. It angers me. Again, it angers me. It's angering a lot of people out there. I think it's going to stun you when you hear about this. So, again, I'm going to have an attorney on to try to make sense of this. This all began with a purchase at a convenience store. According to the federal criminal complaint, at 9:03 p.m. on November 17th, surveillance cameras at a Chicago Citgo gas station captured 50-year-old Lawrence Reed. He walked in, appeared to pay a cashier, and then took a small bottle to a pump and filled it with gasoline. 20 minutes later, the scene shifted to underground. A CTA Blue Line train was pulling towards the Clark and Lake Station, and on board was 26-year-old Bethany McGee. She was seated, scrolling through her phone.
Bethany McGee, soft girl, young lady. Ain't trying to bust a grape, let alone if she can or can't. This bitch-ass coward motherfucker go to manifest whatever he had on his mind. I remember being in Florida having a conversation with Zaya. I think we did it on a live stream. And Zaya was like, yo, Bashai, what's up with the violence and this and that? And we went through the whole gambit of reasons. And then I told him, and some days a motherfucker just wake up and decide somebody's catching it. He was like, that's crazy. Yeah, a motherfucker just decides that day. That bitch motherfucker decided. And he found the weakest, softest thing that he could exploit for his own fucking whatever nutcase purposes. I don't care if he's crazy or not. Got to do away with him. Should have done away with him. He should have been in jail. You should have switched him out for somebody that's in there for selling weed. Long time ago. Shit makes me mad, bro. It makes me real mad.
Her back to the rest of the car, and what you are about to see are the actual surveillance images from inside that train.
I ain't seen none of this, and I didn't know it existed.
This was filed in the United States District Court. Yes, we're talking a federal charge here, charged with one count of committing a terrorist attack or other violence against a mass transportation system in the Northern District of Illinois. We are going to talk about that charge. But going back to the evidence here, go back to the photos. They purportedly show the attack unfolding in horrifying real-time progression. Unbeknownst to Bethany, Lawrence Reed was also on that train, standing at the far end of the same car, and according to the complaint, bottle in hand, he allegedly walked directly toward her. And without a word, he allegedly took the cap off and doused her head and body in gasoline. When he seemingly tried to light her on fire, Bethany fought back, fleeing to the front of the train car. Reed allegedly chases her, lit the bottle itself on fire as she ran to the back. He closed in again, and this time he allegedly used the flaming bottle to set her completely ablaze. He then apparently stood and watched as she became engulfed in flames. And when the doors opened at the station, a burning Bethany stumbled onto the platform and collapsed.
God damn. That shit's aggravating as fuck. That shit's aggravating as fuck. Little girl, bro. Little girl, bro. Probably shouldn't have been on that fucking train anyway. People got to get to where they got to get to, right? They got to go where they got to go. They got to do what they got to do because this is life. But you got this motherfucker. They sweating. They chasing old ladies. They chasing tamale ladies. They chasing eloteros. They chasing roofers. They're chasing hardworking people. Meanwhile, they're locking up motherfuckers that's selling weed. Meanwhile, it's a motherfucker like dude that they knew was a menace to society. Should have been in the prison. And he able to That's no different than he'd have got her with a razor. No different than he'd have poked her up like the other girl got poked up. No different. Like, what the fuck? You guys want to round motherfuckers up? Round up some menaces to society and do it the right way. But y'all are incapable. Because as powerful as you think you are, you're just a bunch of bumbling idiots with money. All right? Money is never an argument for me. Neither is power. Because a dumb fuck could stumble upon both. I believe that shit. If you was a piece of shit broke, you gonna be a piece of shit with money. If you was pussy broke, then you gonna be pussy with money. If you was a bitch when you was broke, you was a bitch with your money. If you threw rocks at cats and dogs as a kid, broke kid, you're going to throw rocks at cats and dogs as a kid with money. This dude sitting outside, he woke up one morning. Hey, you know what? I'm going to motherfucking set somebody on fire on the train. They stuck in there anyway. Lucky for her, they arrived at Clark and Lake and it opened up. But he knew where he had her, and he had her in a capsule underground. He run into a real motherfucker on that train. They blow his fucking brains all over that bitch. Allegedly. From my imagination. Right?
It was only then that bystanders rushed to help, finally smothering the flames. First responders rushed her to the hospital. Severe, life-threatening burns. Reed, meanwhile, apparently simply stepped off the train and walked away.
I wish she hugged him. Me, I'm shooting him or I'm hugging him. We burning together, papas. Fuck you mean? I get it, she's a kid. The wherewithal ain't gonna be there for that. Shit changes. That's what kids don't understand. That's what a lot of adults don't understand. And you have to teach your kids that shit. Like Shannon would say, keep your head on a motherfucking swivel. Pay attention. Have some situational awareness. Know that there's an evil motherfucker out there and he might run into you tonight. Ma, I don't want to hear that shit. You be talking all that evil shit. Nothing happened. Nothing happened so far. Okay, cool. You in a year where you can show her the video. And say, here's the video of exactly what I'm telling you could happen happening. And teach your kids how to defend themselves. I don't know what she could have done against that. Other than hug that motherfucker and let him burn with her. Unless she's trained and got a license. I encourage everybody. If your kid is 21 years old, however old it is, so they can get a concealed carry license, get them trained in weapons. Get them a concealed carry license. In every major city that you can because of the laws. Get that kid a concealed carry license. And then teach them the common sense shit. That shit don't belong in your purse. That shit don't belong in your car. That shit belong on your hip. They sell plenty of tools out there to make sure it stays on your hip. Whether you're running, you're in the gym, whatever. You can keep your hammer on you at all times. You know? Young ladies, I implore you to learn some kind of self-defense. If it ain't fucking martial arts, then learn how to wield the steel. Because it's motherfuckers like him out there that's ready to crash out on you. Problem is you don't see it as being real. I didn't see it as being real, at my age, and I'm sure young ladies even less. I used to be like, come on, OG, I ain't trying to hear that shit. You can show them right now. Then I had to see it in real life. I had to see it with my own two eyes. Nah, you got to teach them. They don't know that this motherfucker exists. They don't know. They get the, you're going to take the train, be careful. They don't know that this motherfucker exists. You got to let them know. I think she was avoiding eye contact with strangers as her defense strategy. It happens. Allegedly. Yeah, I allegedly would love to crack his shit. My daughter's 24, just like this young lady. My daughter has her gun and praying is working on her concealed carry. Get it, girl. I'm proud of you. Aplauso, carajo. Get it. Get it. And that's it. You just keep the common sense shit. Now, mind you, I know some girls that I grew up with that as soon as they got a CCL, they want to take pictures. And then sit your motherfucking ass down. Learn how to respect that weapon. All right? Learn how to respect yourself with it. Get that shit out of your purse. I take your purse. What you got? Nothing. Put that motherfucker on your hip. Put that motherfucker on your appendix. Keep it moving. I get it, but you need to be making eye contact. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't make eye contact, you need to be seeing what he's doing. And again, she probably didn't have no defense for that. Some motherfucker just spraying you with some shit. Go ahead, light me on fire while I'm holding on to you with all my might. We both gonna go up in this motherfucker. Shout out Zorada. Shout, my son is now legal and I've been preparing him mentally to be on Big June
Jonathan Pantuia sent $2 salutes Chi-Il my dude, all the ill cartel members and chatters who came through to ill crimes showing love. I hope you're having a great and blessed Friday as we grow. Like and subscribe, it's free. Fuck all the pieces of shit throughout the world.
Shout out JP for the $2 power chat. Salute Chi-Il my dude, all the ill cartel members and chatters who came through to ill crimes showing love. I hope you're having a great and blessed Friday as we grow. Like and subscribe. It's free. Don't cost you a damn thing. Fuck all the pieces of shit. Throughout the world, there are many, many, many pieces of shit out there, JP. Many pieces of shit. All right. Salutes to you. I appreciate you, sir. Keep your situational awareness on point. Agreed. Shy, my son is now legal, and I've been preparing him mentally to be on Big June daughter's level. Please do. It's a cold world. That's it. As long as we have the right, exercise it. They say, oh, these gun nuts. No, we're not gun nuts. We're just motherfuckers protecting ourselves from whatever it is. Any type of foe, any type of enemy. You know, our own government or otherwise. You know? She goes to the shooting range all the time to practice. Salutes to her. Salutes to her. She ready. Listen, she has more tools in her toolbox right now than some of these other young ladies that fall to this shit, man. So salutes to y'all. I appreciate y'all. So I'd rather get that boy ready, get him in there, and I want to see fucking video in the Discord. You know what I mean?
He was arrested on Tuesday, November 18th. And the very next day, on November 19th, that is when Reed made his initial court appearance. And according to the court order, Reed repeatedly refused an attorney, stated his intention to plead guilty. The judge had to explain that she would not accept a plea at this time. And based on the government's oral motion, the judge scheduled a formal detention hearing. The following day, Thursday, November 20th, prosecutors filed their formal motion for detention, laying out their argument that Reed was far too dangerous to be released. The court, thankfully...
They didn't think that before, that he was far too dangerous to be released. He had to do some extra dangerous shit to convince everybody. Ain't that a bitch?
Reed, ordering him detained, stating that no conditions would ensure the community's safety. And look, to be clear, I say this, I'm an attorney. He's innocent until proven guilty. But when we go through this evidence, it is strong evidence, okay? The backbone of this entire case is the federal criminal complaint. It is a 13-page document that lays out the government's evidence in meticulous, and I will tell you, often disturbing detail. I want to go through some of the key passages that form the core of this case. So first, the complaint establishes the alleged premeditation. It states that just 20 minutes before the attack, surveillance video shows the suspect at a gas station. And let me read directly from the document. Quote, Reed arrived at the Citgo wearing the same clothing as he wore when he lit victim A on fire about 20 minutes later. Additionally, Reed entered the convenience store attached to the gas station, appeared to make a payment to the cashier, and then relocated to a gas pump and filled a small container with gasoline. Now, let's look at the attack itself, because the complaint describes the moments inside that train car with chilling clarity. It reads, Reed stood up from his seat while holding a bottle, walked through the car, and approached victim A, who was seated with her back towards Reed. Reed then took the cap off the bottle and poured a liquid from the bottle all over the victim's head and body. Reed then attempted to ignite the liquid. Now, maybe the most harrowing part is the persistence. I mentioned this before, but when the victim fought back and ran, the complaint details what happened next. Reed then picked up the bottle that was now on fire, approached victim A, and lit victim A on fire using the bottle. Reed then ran to the front of the train car and stood watching victim A as her body was engulfed in flames. And finally, after his arrest, the complaint reveals a shocking detail about his demeanor. It notes that while in transit to the detective division, quote, Reed made repeated, spontaneous, and unprompted utterances, specifically yelling, "Burn B" and "Burn alive B." You have to imagine, if it's not even just the officers who are going to be key witnesses to that, body cam footage, dash cam footage.
That's it. Just like that other guy. Guillermo, did you see that other one where the girl was sitting there and he just started poking her in the fucking neck? And everybody stood there looking stupid. Very proud of her. You should be. Salutes. Yeah, absolutely. Sadly, the bright side of this horrible situation is that he did it and got caught versus doing it and getting away. Yeah. It's a lot harder to get away on these systems nowadays, but bro, he got away mad times. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got away mad times and got mad chances, and what the fuck are we talking about? Sadly, the bright side of this horrible situation is that he did it, got caught. Oh, no, I did that. Let's see. Shani, you're right. The eye contact does change scenarios because a lot of times that confident look in your eyes can save your life. I don't doubt that. See, that's a perspective that you guys can give me as women that I don't have. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in your shit already. So I now I understand how that and I understand how Guillermo was saying it too. That eye contact is everything. Or something, at least. Look at his face, what made them think he was mentally okay. Broken system. He was mocking them to their face. The guy was looking for a victim. Sadly, God works in strange ways, and she was in a place where hope was quickly available in a strange way. That was her saving grace. But yeah, saving grace, and she's alive. But what did it cost her? And for what? Because the system failed and locked up. There's somebody locked up right now that shouldn't be. Meanwhile, this guy was on the street able to do this shit. With the guy with dreads enough to say there's a growing trend. Yeah, he got up and poked her in the neck and said that he had materials in him that made him do it. Like he was possessed by the CIA or some shit.
Footage. And there are more critical and frankly disturbing details that are embedded in this complaint that we haven't discussed yet. I'm going to keep reading. The complaint also details the immediate aftermath on the platform. It reveals a crucial, and for many, by the way, an infuriating detail about the response inside that train car, because it states, quote, Victim A, who was almost fully engulfed in flames, attempted to extinguish herself by rolling on the ground of the train car. The train then stopped the Clark and Lake Street Blue Line platform, and Victim A, while still on fire, was able to exit the train before collapsing on the train platform, where she was tended to by individuals on the platform. Now, according to the official complaint, she received help only after she managed to get herself off the train and onto the platform. And furthermore, the complaint provides a critical forensic link, because when Reed was arrested, he was apparently wearing the same clothes that he...
Jonathan Pantuia sent $2. Ladies and gentlemen, please get you legal protection and learn how to properly protect yourself by any means necessary. As Mr. Nice Watch highly suggests to listen to Thanos dropping gems. Unfortunately, it takes sad stories like Tay.
Shout out JP for the $2 power chat. Ladies and gentlemen, please get your legal protection and learn how to properly protect yourself by any means necessary. As Mr. Nice Watch highly suggests to listen to Thanos dropping gems. Unfortunately, it takes stories like this. Now, I don't drop no gems unless it's a crazy story. I'm just fucking with you. I agree, 100%. Get that shit. Get that shit. Respect it. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Period. I see someone looking suspicious, I could bet I'm making eye contact. Don't be trying that shit with me. Yeah, man. Here's the thing. Looking suspicious or not, you gotta look at everybody nowadays. You know? Accountant to jump up on the train just as quick. Just because he's stressed out and want to end it. It's crazy. Salute JP for the power chat. I appreciate you, sir.
Had on during the attack. But investigators did. He was apparently wearing the same clothes that he had on during the attack. But investigators didn't just note his clothing. They documented that he had, quote, fire-related injuries to his right hand. They also apparently found a key piece of evidence on him.
I wish he would have went up. I wish it would have been one of them stupid scenarios that before he got to her, the shit went back in the bottle and just pop, blew up on him. Oh, that would have been beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Shout out Big June. Shout out your platform is a gem, brother. I appreciate you. All right, salute to you, salute to JP.
CTA transit card. The complaint notes that the card's transaction history shows it was used to board a Blue Line train at Kedzie and Congress at approximately 9:04 p.m. So that's just one.
Stupid motherfucker had all the evidence on him. Still smelled like gasoline and fire and smoldering flesh. Hope that infection from that burn eats your ass.
Minute after he was seen leaving the gas station. So to help us break down the potential legal strategy here, if there is one, the seemingly very powerful evidence that's laid out in this criminal complaint and more, I'm joined right now by Chicago trial attorney Andrew Scott. Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time. Even before we get into the legal aspect of this, as somebody from Chicago, I got to ask you, this Blue Line, is this a safe line? Do you see crime here? Have you ever seen anything like this before, on that?
Listen, I don't know what he's going to say. I'm going to tell you what I know. This is a train that I've taken to the airport and back many times. Trains I've taken to downtown for sneaker releases and meetups many a time. I've taken that train from the airport all the way into downtown. And I'll tell you this. It's all kind of shit going on that train. I'll tell you my last experience. Let me get to this chat real quick. That's what I mean. You have to check everyone. Not exactly, bro. Looking at everyone, there's a difference. Looking at everybody don't mean you mean mugging them. Situational awareness doesn't mean that you're inviting anything. You are just aware of everyone. That young lady got on that bus and sat in front of dude. Maybe he sat behind her. I don't know. I don't remember. But she sat in front of dude. Dude wasn't looking no different than anybody else on that train. He got up and did what he did. So to me, I'm just aware of everyone and what everyone's doing and how everyone's moving. I try to be. Doesn't mean I'm inviting it though. It's an invitation for an interaction because men will try flirting with her. That happens too. I've on buses in this city have gotten up and put motherfuckers off the bus for shit like that. I'm not saying eyeball them. I'm saying be aware of where everything and everyone is at. Not be lost in your phone. Look at everyone as anyone can do anything to you at any time. And it sounds like an overwhelming task, like, oh, I'm just looking at the negative and everything. And no, it becomes a second nature and you paying attention. You can't all the time, but you got to be on it. But yeah, definitely not like that. Shout out JP, salutes. So I messed up my own drop. I meant to say, as Mr. Nice Guy, this is Mr. Nice Watch. All right, my bad. You got it, though. As Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Nice Watch highly suggests to listen to Thanos. All right, there we go. We made the correction. So last time I was on this bus, I don't know if I was coming home from, I think I was coming home from the airport. It's a train. I think I was coming home from the airport. And on the center, there was two guys digging through the trash, eating. One of them had his shoes on, one of them had his shoes off. One was sitting down, one was standing. They got to something, one was going somewhere. They were about to get on the train as it was leaving. They were going to get on my car. They got into an argument. They got to spit on each other, got to my car, and I was on some, not over here. You know what I'm saying? They quickly took that shit somewhere else. But everybody rides that train. The whole city gets that train. At some point or another, they get that train. And there's always something happening on that train, right? The homeless situation on that train is a lot. Mind you, are there worse trains? Yes. But a lot of shit like that on that train. I wasn't surprised at what I heard when I heard this. Not at all. Mind you, this happened recently. Again, on another train. I don't think it was a blue line train. I don't know if it was a red line train, but somebody set some homeless people on fire. Maybe they get that guy for that case. That I don't think those people recall. I don't recall in that story. So maybe that's like something that Guillermo was talking about, where unfortunately they weren't caught. But this ain't the first time. No, but I don't think that her being aware of him would have stopped him. He was keeping his distance, and since she was trapped in a moving train, she was being stalked. Maybe he just, I don't know, I didn't see all that. Maybe he just got on the train, saw her, and said, "This is my Vic." I didn't see him pick the train car and none of that shit. Maybe he walked train car to train car, and you could walk between train cars. I'm just saying, yeah, again, I said early, there's probably nothing she could have done to defend herself. She's trapped in a capsule with this motherfucker. I don't know how many people were on that train. I wish there was more people there to help her. He wouldn't have got that second shot off. A real motherfucker's on that train, she don't get that second shot off. He don't get that second shot off. As far as he doused her, he tried to light her and didn't. He lit the bottle. He grabbed the bottle. By then, somebody should have got a hold of him. If they said Mayweather versus Ortiz, protect yourself at all times. Facts. Public transportation is crazy. I always scan. That's it. Scan location, people, and sit in a place where I'm looking. And here's the thing, man. You got to have some kind of offense. You in a city with all kind of people. Sorry, would you like to break down the red line next? What, the one with them people that got burnt up on there? Nah, I mean, we'll get to that story another time. We already lined up with what we got to talk about today. We're here for a good time, not a long time. But yeah, that ain't the first time this happened. This shit was recent. This was just a couple months ago. Transportation is dangerous because you have no control of who you may find. That's why people in poverty getting hurt on their way places versus driving your car. People on public transportation is fucking horrible.
Particular line on that particular train. I mean, for all of us who are not in Chicago, tell us.
I would say of all of the L lines, the blue line is probably the most safe. You know what?
I'd agree with that, and it's still fucked up. So imagine that.
It's considered the most safe. I've never seen any sort of attacks on the blue line. I know a lot of people have. I've certainly never even heard of an attack of this magnitude on not only the blue line, but any of the CTA-L lines. So this is a pretty shocking experience for everyone in Chicago.
Yeah, it is shocking is the right word. Disturbing's another word. Really sick, really sick. I mean, this complaint...
Disgusting.
Yeah, this complaint methodically connects the gas station to the train platform, to the attack. There is this, CTA card I mentioned before. I have to ask, from a defense attorney point of view, does this feel relatively airtight by the prosecution? You also couple that with his alleged demeanor, right? These spontaneous utterances after the arrest, burn, bleep, his chaotic behavior in court. We'll talk about that too. But does it seem like everything is pretty much of an airtight case? I'm not really sure where a defense attorney would go here.
Yeah, this isn't going to be the type of case where you try to argue that he didn't commit the crime, right? You've got everything on video. So the strategy here is going to be one of two strategies. Either
I don't know who this is, but you could have ran interference right there. I'm sorry. Stop talking to me about all this gangster shit. Stop talking to me about all this tough shit. And moments like that, it's just how you know you're not next, man? You don't give a shit about her. Put them in a bag. Agreed. Exactly what I always time the people around me following my same direction. Pure evil. Shout out Matthew. Public transportation tend to be on rugs. I can tell you on drugs. I can say it on this channel, I think. How many times I've seen trains being a homeless bar with people partying. Facts. Because it's warm. Not taking anything away from her pain. She didn't deserve none of that. She ain't had none of that coming. I agree with Miguel Lopez. Put him in a fucking bag. But dude right here, I don't know your situation. I don't know if you're sick. I don't know if this is groceries or a baby or what. But you should have cold cocked that motherfucker and put him through this door right here and made him eat that fucking bottle. That's what you should have done.
They're going to try to make some sort of insanity defense, which good luck with that. But based on what I've seen so far from this defendant, there might be some juice there. And then after that, it becomes attempting to reduce the amount of time your client is going to spend in prison. Now, this isn't a death penalty case, and although he's been charged in federal court, there is still a federal death penalty. So it's not the
wrong channel. He said deport him on wrong channel. That should fall all the way out of context over here.
type of case where you're going to be trying to spare, your client's life, but this is the type of case that you take on, and as an attorney, you realize that your defendant, your client, I should say, you realize that your client is guilty. You're giving your client their constitutionally mandated best defense that you can give to help them out here. It's an airtight case for the prosecution.
For sure. I mean, if you talk about premeditation, if you talk about intent, the idea of captured on surveillance footage, filling up a gas bottle, wearing the same clothes, going onto the platform, going onto...
That's a bitch-ass punk, boy.
...the train, allegedly dousing her, lighting her on fire. It's caught on surveillance. You maybe have key eyewitnesses as well. And then arrested wearing...
Bro, one person on that train could have stopped that. The shit opened up with enough time for her to get out there on that platform and get help. One person interfering with dude's party, one person interfering with what dude was doing could have ended that shit.
The same clothes. You mentioned the potential insanity defense. Look, I mean, talk to us about that, because this is just a random, sinister act of violence that makes absolutely no sense. And when I say that, you do wonder, someone could have mental health issues for sure, but that doesn't mean that they're entitled to a successful insanity defense. What do you think there might be there?
Look at this goofy motherfucker, man. I'd like to split your shit into pieces.
That's something that a defense attorney could work with.
Well, you're going to have, like you said, mental health issues. And if you look at this person's background, it's very clear that this person has pretty severe mental issues. And you're right. Does that mean that they're going to have a viable insanity defense? No, that does not mean that. Just because someone has mental health issues doesn't mean, or even severe mental health issues doesn't mean that they can't appreciate the wrongness of their actions. And that's going to be the high bar that the defense attorneys are going to have to tackle here. Is as crazy of an attack as it seems, it's also pretty hard to make the argument that this person didn't methodically plan out this attack, and obviously, the argument obviously knew that what they was doing was something that was wrong, that there was wrongness to these actions. Yeah. I think one of the things that's sort of fascinating about the world that we live in today is everything is on camera now, and he is probably on camera from arriving at the gas station to his entire walk to the L station to...
Yeah, I wouldn't give a fuck if he took pills that were labeled mental illness pills. Insanity? He wasn't too insane to know that he didn't light her up the first time and had to try again.
Everything. So the prosecution is going to be able to show every step of the way on this case, most likely. And that is the jury's going to be able to watch that and say, what is going on here? They're going to be able to see his movements. In a lot of places, they're going to be able to see what he actually says. And they're going to be able to, by watching the crime, make a decision on whether this person appreciated the wrongness of the crime. And I don't think at the end of the day, it'll be successful.
And I want to get into the federal charge here and the fact that he has been hit with a federal charge, and we'll talk about that. But you put all the legal discussion to the side for a second and the shocking footage and the evidence. It is important to remember who is at the very center of this tragedy. The victim, 26-year-old Bethany McGee. For days, she was known to the public only as Victim A. But as Newsweek reported, she has been identified as Bethany McGee, a young woman whose life was brutally interrupted. We have learned that Bethany was a Purdue University graduate, an animal lover, a churchgoer. Her social media indicates that she's close with her parents and her brothers. Her father, Dr. Gregory McGee, is a professor of biblical studies at Taylor University. It's a Christian college in Indiana. Her family has released a statement saying, "We would like to thank everyone for their prayers and well wishes as our daughter receives care for injuries sustained earlier this week. We are so grateful for the excellent care and support of the burn team at Stroger Hospital. We will not be providing updates at this time and ask for her and our privacy as we focus our attention on her and her recovery." Now, Andrew, let's talk about the human impact here, because now that we know a little bit more about Bethany and we're trying to grasp what happened to her and what her life is going to be, how
they say she's at
does
Stroger?
College in Indiana. Her family has released a statement saying, "We would like to thank everyone for their prayers and well wishes as our daughter receives care for injuries sustained earlier this week. We are so grateful for the excellent care and support of the burn team at Stroger Hospital. We will not be providing updates at this time and ask for her and our privacy as we focus our attention on her and her recovery." Now, Andrew, let's talk about the human impact here.
Shout out Zoraida. That's it right there. Shout out. The level of numbness we as a society have reached is sickening. When I see things like this and no one does anything, I couldn't just watch and do nothing. I could not try to help. Let me tell you something. I will say this. I won't take nobody, and I'm not just saying, you know what I'm saying, in general. Same thing with the snitching shit. Until you're in that position, you really don't know. Some people are built different. Some people are ready to fucking do what they got to do. Some people, that fear is paralyzing. All right. The level of numbness that we have as a society is in how many of these stories we hear on a weekly basis. You think about the amount of tragedy that we've covered together over the last 3 years. That's where we're numb as a society as well. Now, do I think that these people do not jump in or help or do anything as malice? No, I just think that they're paralyzed with fear. You're not like that. I'm not like that. You know, not in that kind of situation. That's a different thing. You know, in a dream, you know, a creature that I've never seen before run up on me, I might fucking be like, what the fuck is that? You know what I'm saying? But a human being that just assaulted a little girl on a train, and I see what he's doing, and I'm in there with, this could be, we got to handle this. This is not going to happen. All right? I don't know that these people do it because of malice or they're just scared, cowardice. You know? Shout out Shannon, I'm back. My son's girlfriend called. Salutes. You know? But yeah, I could not stand there like dude did. I don't know dude's situation that was standing there, but goddamn, bro, run some interference. Let us get to Clark and Lake and get out of this train. And then grab dude and run across the platform and throw his motherfucking ass on the tracks. Allegedly. Ill Crimes changes you. JP, come on, man. You love Ill Crimes, bro. We got to cover this stuff, bro. We got to tell people to be careful. All right? But I feel you, Zoraida. There's some people that have the character that are going to jump in there and not for no glory, not for nothing, but for self-preservation and for the preservation of the others around them. And guess what? People don't realize either, Zoraida, that shit gets real 2.5 fucking seconds. They don't get that. Those people that were on that bus where that girl got poked, they didn't get that. Boom, just like that. Shit went crazy. Dude was probably afraid himself. Guillermo, you giving this guy a lot of bail. You giving this guy a whole lot of bail, bro. That dude wasn't afraid of shit. If that you think that dude was afraid, he did that shit with other humans around. He wasn't afraid of them doing shit to him. He was completely confident and on a mission in what he was doing. Salutes to you, but he walked past people his size to set that little girl on fire. That dude wasn't scared of shit. That dude wasn't trepidatious about the next move he was going to make. You said yourself he stalked, right? I don't know that he stalked. I know that he went and got that gas already knowing he was, in his mind was made up. Confident in his decision. This is what I got to do tonight. You know? Not by the standard, not the culprit. I don't know. No. The bystander. Okay. My bad. Okay, my bad. Apologies. You talking about the... Yeah, that's the thing, though. At that point, all right, cool, be scared. When he's done setting her on fire, he coming for you, motherfucker. And ain't nobody gonna help your ass just like you ain't help nobody else. Again, Guillermo, I believe that some people just don't know how quick life can go 300 miles an hour. And they freeze up in that situation like dude probably did. Like you said, he was afraid himself. Yeah, I thought you meant the culprit. I was like, yo, that motherfucker wasn't scared of shit. And the crazy shit is, like you said, at least he got caught. Motherfucker didn't even get caught the same day, dog. He didn't even get caught at that moment. That's what's crazy. He could have fell off into the darkness. You're right. Fear paralyzes some people. Yes, shit goes left in seconds. That's why we have to be alert. Got to. You're in a locked fucking space. I'm on an airplane. I ain't eyeballing nobody. But don't start doing strange shit. Right? The problem is everybody's idea of strange is relative to what their fucking mind is about. It's crazy. Right? All I know is that little girl didn't know no better than to sit there and mind her fucking business. You know, that's it. That's what she did. Shout out Big June.
Because now that we know a little bit more about Bethany and we're trying to grasp what happened to her and what her life is going to be, how does that humanize this case for a potential jury? And if you are a defense attorney, do you say to yourself, do you say to your client, this is not going to be good for you? The minute the jury sees what happened to her, this is going to be a problem for you.
You're going to say that to your client. You're going to say that this is going to be a massive problem for you. And there's a variety of reasons. First of all, like you said, she's a 26-year-old woman. There are people, a lot of the people who ride the L every day, which is going to be part of your jury pool, by the way. There's going to be plenty of people riding the L every day that are on your jury pool, are going to be people who look and feel just like her. People who are younger professionals coming in from various neighborhoods in the city. There's going to be people on that jury that are going to say that could have been me. But the other side of it too, or another aspect of it too, are burns are horrific injuries. I was trying to get as much of an update as possible as to the severity of her burns, and there isn't really a good one out there as far as I've seen. But I've handled burn cases before from a civil litigation side, and I can tell you, they're horrifying. There are months and months in the hospital. There's skin grafts involved. There's pain that's unlike any pain that you can imagine. And then there's scarring too, depending how badly she was burned and where she was burned, where that scarring might be. So it's a horrible case that, a jury is going to be able to put themselves in the shoes of that victim, and then they're going to see these horrible.
And the city got to step the fuck up. Like he said, there's going to be people, jurors, clerks, lawyers, everything that going to, relate with Shorty because they've been on that train and they commute on that train. You know what I'm saying? People ain't comfortable with their kids, these college kids in downtown, these college kids all over the city getting on the train, but they ain't got no fucking choice. And they're going to get on the train where some motherfucker with 72 arrests for this, that, the other is on there, who just bought gas. There should be a red flag. You shouldn't be able to pump gas into a water bottle. Fuck out of here. You want gas, you're going to get a big-ass gas can or you're not. Period. Am I wrong? Oh, I just need a little for the carburetor. Too bad. Get a whole fucking gallon. Big red bottle. Not give me $2, let me put it in this water bottle. Cut the pump. coward and a hero both have the same fear. Difference is one runs away from it and the other runs towards it, in my opinion. Absolutely, Matthew. That's the truth right there. All right. Hey, JP.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Injuries. I mean, everyone's burned themselves before. And you think about how bad that little burn you get when you pull something out of the oven feels for a few days. Now imagine that all over your entire body. And imagine that, imagine being in that for weeks.
It's difficult to grasp. It's difficult to understand. It's hard to understand. And, the journey that she now has to go through after everything that she just went through, the journey that she has to go through, it's really, really unthinkable. And I got to say, I am wishing her a speedy and successful and healthy recovery, because as shocking as this is a new reality that she has to grasp. And it makes it go back to the family, right? How does a victim's family navigate this kind of trauma? How do they navigate the media attention that's being brought to this case? Because it is being talked about in all different circles, right? There's the political aspect, there's the criminal justice aspect, there's the legal aspect. It's just a shocking story. How does the victim's family navigate something like this?
I felt terrible for the victim's family, first of all, because their loved one has to go through this and they have to experience it with her. But the amount of attention that this case is going to get is going to exacerbate that pain. They're going to have people talking about this case for weeks on cable news shows. It's going to be all over the internet, and they're going to be fighting misinformation. They're going to be fighting their privacy. Most people, when they experience a tragedy,
that little girl don't fucking bother nobody. Goes to school, minds her business. Boom. On camera, Shy said, "What you mean you lost me?" Or maybe I lost myself. Government needs to protect public transportation better for us to ride safely. Man, bro. Listen, I've come to the conclusion that our safety is up to us, bro. I came to that conclusion a long time ago. Listen, you can call 911. Sometimes you have to. I don't know how long it's gonna take for them to get there. I think protection is upon ourselves at this point in many aspects of life. They can't pay me enough to be a juror and have to see all that and hear all that evidence. Mono con los ojos tapados. She was minding her business, man.
They want privacy. They're not going to get any, which is horrible. So it's a very difficult situation for the family. I really feel for them.
Yeah. And by the way, the U.S. attorney stated that she was, quote, minding her own business.
That's it, minding her fucking business.
When this happened. So talk to me about this charge, right? You might read this and say, okay, what are the state charges that he's facing? No, he's hit with this federal charge, committing a terrorist attack against a mass transportation system. That was very deliberate to charge him with that, because it carries life in prison. Were you surprised that he's charged with that federal crime, and how do you prove something like that?
I was a little surprised that he was charged with a federal crime, but then when you realize that it's on a mass transit system, that makes it more likely that they're going to be charged with a federal crime, right? How do you prove that case? How these statutes are generally written is they're written so the prosecutors can win these types of cases. And if you look at how the statute's written, you look at the evidence, I really think that it's going to be a very difficult situation for the defense to get any sort of a not guilty on this case. I would also be shocked if this case ends up going to trial. Now, there's always the wild card. We've seen or heard of some of how this defendant has acted in court. You can't force your client to take a plea deal. So he might insist on a trial. And it might be the type of case where this guy might run through multiple defense attorneys and it might end up being the type of case where he ends up representing himself because he seems that completely unhinged. So this is an awful case for a defense attorney to try to win or try to navigate. Like I said, the person who ends up taking this case isn't taking this case for money. They're not taking this case to win. They're taking it with the passion that they're going to say, okay, this person, despite the fact that he's guilty.
I agree, bro. I agree. Very true. But some people just can't protect themselves like some other people. There needs to be other options or something like that. That's the problem, my brother. Our other options are fucking failing those people. That's the problem. So yeah, the government got to step up, but they won't. Desensitized, indeed. Like when JP be hanging out in the gore section for too long, he'd be like, "Fuck yeah."
Mono con los ojos tapados.
Deserves a fair trial, and I'm going to make sure that they get it.
Do you think, and I'm going to get into this in a minute, what his prior criminal history was? Do you think he's charged at the federal level to make sure that there is absolutely no chance that he ever gets out?
Bro, he's a fucking menace to society. He shouldn't have been on the street, period. What are his charges? Are they going to show us his jacket?
About that. I think that the charges sort of happened fast enough to where there was sort of the incident occurred, everyone was shocked, and the indictment came down. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it occurred on a mass transit system, and that's what.
Okay, but what is a terrorist attack? Is a terrorist attack only if it has some political agenda attached to it, Guillermo? Because if you're on a locked mass transit like that, I get it. If you're in a restaurant, is that also considered a mass attempt? How about if you're one of these kids that goes to a school type shit? Like, I don't know, bro. All I know is somebody should have fucked dude up a long time
makes
ago.
it a charge where federal charges are available. I don't know if the idea is that this is put on this to make sure that he never gets out. Now, to your point, though, in Illinois state sentencing, if he were sentenced to, aggravated battery, which is what these charges would be in state court, even if it were a max severe penalty, he would basically get out 50% of the time, depending on how he is in jail.
What about attempted murder?
Attempted murder could be, he's not going to get, he could get, you're right, he could be charged with attempted murder. And again, he would probably not see a life in prison. It could be, it still would be what people would be charged on this case, or the sentencing that he would get on this case on the state level would be the type of reaction where people go, that's not enough.
Well,
and you have to factor in the fact that, like I said, he gets 50%, he gets credit. So he's only going to end up serving half that sentence. On a federal level, he'll serve 85% of whatever sentence he gets. And that is a big part of this, is that even if he gets, 10 years or 20 years or 25 years or 40
this is life in prison. This charge is life in prison. Yeah. So
it could be life in prison.
It could be, but you're saying even if it's life in prison, there's a chance he could get out before at a federal level?
It depends on whether he's granted parole or whether it's life without parole. And that would be, I would have to look at, that would be a decision for the judge. He could, what could happen here is he could have an eligibility for parole in 20, 25, 35 years or something like that.
Guillermo said, I would argue that the definition of the word terrorism be used to answer that question, which does require a sense of political intimidation. So then the argument for cartels to be, that's drug dealing, right? So then they're not terrorists, and they also negotiate with them. So it's like, come on, man, we're fucked. But Guillermo, this is a genuine question. What do you think we should do with this motherfucker? He's clearly a menace to society. He clearly shouldn't be on the street. What should we do with this motherfucker? I'm the wrong motherfucker to ask. I'm one of them motherfuckers that'll tell you that the streets should eat him. But
assuming. Would he, we can't predict the future. He could go in and he could get completely rehabilitated. And
can he, though? Can we rehabilitate? Is there hope for everyone? It's crazy, man.
Fixed, and then, in 35 years, be granted parole. Yeah. Or he could be
in 35 years, he come out, and as soon as he's on his way to the crib, he takes somebody else out.
I think he's going to be, and end up not getting that parole.
And look, he's 50 years old, but here's the point. Here's the point. The reason I've asked you, are they charging him at the federal level to make sure he never gets out? Let's talk about his criminal history, because if the details of this attack leave people asking how on earth could something like this happen, let me tell you that the answer may lie in a staggering number that has ignited outrage, that has demanded a hard look at the criminal justice system. The number is 72. So according to court records, Lawrence Reed has been arrested at least 72 times over the past 30 years.
What's the most egregious of his crimes?
I want to break that down. So according to a motion for detention,
That was my thought. Terror. If I run down the street and I'm licking shots at everybody's house, am I not terrorizing the neighborhood? I don't know. Or am I just Dennis the Menace?
Was filed by the government. Of those 72 arrests, Reed has approximately 15 convictions, and 8 of those are felonies. His felony convictions include arson, criminal damage to government-supported property valued over $500, drug trafficking, drug possession, and a felony traffic offense. So I want to focus on the arson because it is a direct precursor to this alleged attack, right? The motion details an April 2020 crime where CTA workers saw Reed walking with 2 red gas cans. He apparently approached a window of the James R. Thompson Center. The state...
I agree. I feel like they gave Diddy a fantasy charge, and I'm no fan of Diddy. Fantasy charges do exist. And indeed, a cancer needs to be cut out. You can't trust this guy on the fucking street. To answer your question, I say he did what he did is a cancer to society, and like any medical diagnosis, you need to be accurate with diagnosis. Meaning the right criminal charge is not a fantasy charge. Here's what's not a fantasy. He's a menace to society. He cannot be outside. I don't know how long it's going to take to fix that or medically diagnose that shit. I don't know what's a fantasy charge. But if 72 charges, including arson, and then you set a little girl on fire, you should probably get life in prison.
Government building in downtown
Chicago. At the least, let the taxpayers feed him till the day he dies. If not, let the streets eat him. But the streets ain't as hungry as it used to be.
Chicago, poured liquid from the cans near the window and ignited it, causing a fire. For this act, window of the James R. Thompson Center with 2 red gas cans, 2020 traffic offense. So I want to focus on the arson because it is a direct precursor to this alleged attack, right? The motion details an April 2020 crime where CTA workers saw Reed walking with 2 red gas cans. He apparently approached...
So look, the bottle argument that I had where don't let these motherfuckers pour it in these little water bottles don't mean shit. He walking down the street with 2 full gas cans and shit. God damn.
Approached a window of the James R. Thompson Center, the state government building in downtown Chicago, poured liquid from the cans near the window and ignited it, causing a fire. For this act, he was sentenced to probation in Cook County. The criminal damage convictions...
Wait, that's it? He walking with 2 gas cans.
He approached a window of the James R. Thompson Center.
Walked up to the Thompson Center.
State government building in downtown Chicago, poured liquid from the cans near the window and ignited it.
You got probation for setting... No difference if you went and set City Hall on fire or tried to. Same shit.
Causing a fire. For this act, he was sentenced to probation in Cook County. The criminal damage convictions are also telling. So one involved him damaging 2 CTA train windows. Another involved damaging a computer that was property of the Cook County Department of Corrections. For these, he also received probation. Now, to the moment that makes the case so infuriating...
He's wilding out in jail, out of jail, on the street, on the train, on a bus. You gotta fucking...
Adios, pendejo.
You know what I mean? Period.
At the time of this attack, Reed was already facing a violent felony charge. According to reporting from CBS News Chicago, in August, he was charged with aggravated battery causing great bodily harm for allegedly striking a social worker at the McNeil Hospital. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office objected to his release, arguing he was a danger. According to reporting from CBS News Chicago, in August, he was charged with aggravated battery causing great bodily harm for allegedly striking a social worker at the McNeil Hospital. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office objected to his release, arguing he was a danger, but you had a judge who ended up releasing him on electronic monitoring, and according to the motion for detention, another judge later modified the order, loosening his monitoring restrictions. And the federal motion notes that at the time of the CTA attack, Reed was required to be at home under curfew. And
oh no, and he was under a curfew.
No, mommy's wait.
Come on, man. I'm simply saying that he's obviously guilty of a violent crime, but he's not politically motivated from the info so far. I don't think terrorism charges are a fantasy charge. Sorry, you are the proper charge. They have laws that say he has to be regulated. It has to be a regulated container to pump gas. He didn't do that with that bottle. It looked like a water bottle. So there was proof he has mental problems. There's proof he's a mama huevo, and he breaks everything, and they just been waiting for this to happen.
I really only have one question. How is this possible?
Well, the answer comes down to a few things. A lot of his arrests and convictions are related to property damage crimes. They're not related to harming other people. And that's why he was out from those types of charges. Those are, whenever you're damaging property over hurting people, you're going to be given less time in prison or less time in jail.
And the 72 arrests don't matter?
Well, 72 arrests, but it's 15 convictions. That's what it comes down to. That should be the number people are focusing on. 15 convictions is too many convictions, by the way. It's a lot of convictions, and 8 felonies is a lot of felonies. But it comes down to, can you put someone in jail for the rest of their life for destroying a computer or setting a fire to property? And I think on the scale of things, a lot of people, if they were looking at this, not considering what he did here, would say, okay, well, that's probably not a life imprisonment charge. Now, the attack on a social worker is a particularly interesting charge, and I'm somewhat surprised that he was actually given the ability to bail out, because those charges, whenever they're involving professionals, so to speak, those tend to carry a higher amount of weight. They tend to be aggravated battery cases, because that's someone who is, the social worker was someone who was trying to help him, was in their professional role when they were injured. And that usually adds an aggravation factor, which you sometimes can be used to deny someone probation, or excuse me, not probation, to deny somebody bail under the Bail Act. And for whatever reason, a Cook County judge didn't see that way.
So when people read this and they say, wait a minute, he got probation even after his criminal history, gets released even after all this, does there need to be a change in the law in Chicago?
I don't know the answer to that, because the problem is with this type of case, it's random enough, and it's not as if he had the type of violent history that you could have predicted that he would commit this type of crime on a person. So the Bail Act, or the Bail Reform Act in Illinois, did a lot of good things, and a lot of people don't realize that. To not hold somebody in jail for an offense that they effectively can't pay to get released is problematic. And what a lot of people don't realize is all bail is it's a monetary hurdle to getting out of jail. You don't go to jail until you're convicted of a crime. So if me and some billionaire are both arrested for the same crime, and they set our bail at $1 million, and I can't pay that $1 million, but the millionaire or the billionaire can pay that $1 million, the billionaire goes free and I don't go free. Who's more dangerous in that situation? You're not making an objective decision on who's more dangerous. You're making an objective decision on who can afford to get out of jail before they are convicted. Now, both people who, whenever you get out on bail, you still have to face trial, and you can still be sentenced to prison after the trial, and that's completely unrelated to bail. So it comes down to the fact that you are innocent until proven guilty, and you are only held before you are innocent until you're proven.
Go on, bitch.
Guilty based on certain conditions.
But look, again, this you mentioned it before. There is a question here of why he was released if you're talking about a potential danger to the public or repeat offender. Look, in the wake of this attack, I want your perspective. In the wake of this attack, federal authorities, they held a press conference to formally announce the charges. And you had U.S. Attorney Andrew Boutros, who went to the podium to immediately shut down any speculation that this was anything but a random predatory attack.
I've seen reports that there was an altercation or that there was some kind of some kind of disagreement or argument that took place. Those statements are inaccurate and false. She was on her phone.
Then you had ATF Special Agent in Charge Chris Ammon, who took the microphone and connected Reed's past directly to this present tragedy. And honestly,
it's a lot of nonviolent people in jail, though. That's my argument to that. It's a lot of nonviolent people in jail. But that's cool. That is the same thing, that the way the system is set up. Nothing happens until something happens. You can see the signs all you want. Until it goes down, it is what it is. To me, I would have loved it if they would have dropped him right there in the fucking train.
Those blunt terms possible.
Lawrence Reed had no business.
All right, shout out Zoraida. This little girl's family has all the paper trail to get justice for their little girl. When it comes to the city legal enforcement, anyone that had any contract or proof to put them away. Trompito and the government in general need some kind of law when it comes to mental health. To where the mental health can go only so far before harming someone. Shout out Guillermo. Look, the law is supposed to be fair and just. Supposed to. Very much not so. Very much the scales are not even. Not even close. The guy didn't have violence until this incident, and that's why he wasn't. I would say arson is violence. If you're burning something, you know what I'm saying, that can hurt somebody, to me, that's violence. That ain't just damage your property. You smash a computer, you're not hurting nobody but yourself, your hand. You set something on fire, hey, man, it's a janitor working in that Thompson Center that you could have, you know. Let's not look at I don't want to look at the absurdity of, oh, he was lighting it with 2 bottles and it's a giant building. I don't want to hear none of that shit. I'm just saying in general, you know, the same way they get around it, it's all loopholes, Papa. It's all loopholes. And again, like you said, it's supposed to be fair. It's not. They're charging kids who call in prank bomb threats, swatting with terrorism charges. That swatting shit's dangerous. Bomb threat's dangerous. They're throwing that word around. That word is, you know, turista. You're a tourist.
Being on the streets, given his violent criminal history and his pending criminal cases.
Right,
Reed
enough.
had plenty of
They repeated enough. I heard it all. We'll see which one sticks. We'll see if they charge him with the Fed shit. We'll see if the state charge him. And hopefully that little girl recovers as best as she can, and hopefully it's not as much damage as I would imagine. God damn, man, it's rough. Rough. What'll she ever do to a motherfucker, man? You know what I mean? Hit the like button if you have yet to do so. We'll keep an eye on this story. All right. Salutes to Bethany. Get well soon. And to this other motherfucker, man, may the fucking 12th pit of Hades collect them when the time comes. Boom. Let's see. A second. I want to do that. Let's run up in this Davis story real quick and see what's up. See how close we are to justice for Celeste Rivas. Vamos a ver. Last time we talked about this, which was just last week, we were talking about how they were throwing around the information. I don't know if we even got to it. Did we even get to the information that that she was frozen? Did we even talk about that last stream? I don't recall. I believe we did. Remember, there were images of her frozen. Here, let me take a look at what we last saw. Let me find what's his face. We'll get a little trap more. We'll get some Jesse Webster in there. Jesse Weber. Boom, that's it right there. Matt got all the fucking quotables today, all right? The only way evil persists is if good people do nothing. Facts.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What we got here? see last time? I think we covered that. There's so many things happening in this fucking story, bro. So many things. So many things. Things that we missed that we're going to go through quickly right here. Okay? Things that we're going to go through quickly right here. We're going to go on the Discord, make sure we got this lined up. Shout out Young Jizzle. Swifty recovery to Young Jizzle. Broke his ankle up into pieces. All right. Hope you feel better quick, sir. ASAP. Not intentionally trying to derail, but since I'm in and out, did you guys hear the guy who tried to unalive President Reagan was let free after 41 years due to insanity in a mental facility? No shit. I can't remember his name at the moment. All right, definitely derailing, right? Get in the house. The street lights is on. Get your ass in the house. Get in the chat. All right? What was the last that we covered on this? Am I going to have to go look at our channel? Hold on, man. Let's look at this last live stream we did here. Yeah, there you go. Speedy recovery to Young Jizzle. Busted his shit. Let's see. What do we do here? See what our last live stream, what did we talk about as far as that story? Or did we? Did we
already has.
Did we do it on Il Cartel? We might have done it on Il Cartel. Yeah, I think we did. I snuck that. If I recall correctly, we got to the point where, oh, it was TMZ that we were watching. We were watching TMZ. We were watching TMZ, and TMZ was telling us they had all of this information. Let's go there. Let's go there first. Go there first.
Dominic Dunn became.
Let's see. And we were like, yeah, it's TMZ talking crazy. Okay, we had the new suspect identified. They said there was 2 people. Okay, that was 6 days ago. But the police disagreed with TMZ. I do remember that. All right, let's go through here, man. Quickly.
Some major developments in the Celeste Rivas death. TMZ has learned that her body had been frozen. And when it was found, it was still partially frozen in the back of David's car. And it was in...
From my understanding, okay, we did cover this last time. From my understanding, the LAPD is refuting this. They're saying that she was not frozen. Okay? So we did cover that. All right, this is on the 24th. Let's see what this is. Pretty long. Let's get to the point here. Oh, get me clapped. I can't afford to get clapped. Do not clap me, TMZ. Trying to vindicate your name, but you wilding right now.
So, number one, there is a second suspect. And that second suspect, the police are looking at being involved both before, during, and after Celeste's death.
And that would presumably mean before, at least during that Santa Barbara trip.
So the Santa Barbara trip is key. In case you haven't heard this yet, we broke a story last week that David, according to authorities, took a mysterious trip to Santa Barbara last spring. In the middle of the night, a remote area of Santa Barbara County, spent several hours there. We are told the operating theory by cops is that that's where her body may have been dismembered. So then the question, how does this body end up in a deep freeze? So to connect the dots based on the information we have, it would seem that the body, and again, everything I know, and I've spoken with multiple people in this who are involved in the case, everything I know suggests that Santa Barbara is not where Celeste died. She died elsewhere, possibly L.A. The body was taken there.
And then dismembered.
And then dismembered.
And we had been told that they had enough evidence that led them to believe this other person actually aided in the dismemberment of her body.
Right. Now, we are told the body was not buried in Santa Barbara, so it would seem that it was taken somewhere else, probably back to Los Angeles, it would seem. And remember, this is spring. So we are talking, say it's March, you have April, May, June, July,
before the body
August.
was found.
Yeah, 5 or 6 months before the body was found. So it was somehow placed in a freezer of some sort.
And then the question is, which freezer and how it remained concealed there.
Aren't they saying that David's people are leaking fake information? I mean, they're saying a lot of things, not just them, the internet. There's a lot of saying. That's been the problem with this case from the beginning. And again, like Guillermo's saying, maybe saying it's too much. From my understanding, they've been working behind the scenes, and we're going to get to the point where allegedly there's even been a grand jury that's heard this case already. Problem is LAPD doesn't want valuable, sensitive information from getting out. If Celeste was frozen, where was she frozen? Because that's where she would have been unalived. Is that mutually exclusive? They did point out he had a freezer box in his house. But evidently this is a body moving around. We don't know where it moved, but you're right. They probably don't want information leaking. Do you think they know where he's at? So LAPD doesn't want info leaking because it does impede an investigation, to throw off the investigation. I agree. Big June, all these things can be possible. All these things can be possible.
For all that time. One of the things that we have looked at the house.
Because there was something that did strike me weird, and I heard somebody else talk about it where they were like, TMZ, I believe, said it. They're like, oh, and I believe everybody's just talking. Everybody's headlines. But they're like, yo, you know, it was frozen and defrosting, and that impedes the analysis. And I was thinking, and somebody else mentioned it, like, it actually kind of preserves information if she was frozen. We'll see. I don't know how long it would take to thaw. Or, unfortunately, I think it was Jesse Weber that was talking about. Shout out Zorada. Yes, I think they know where he's at. Okay. I hope
that
so.
David was the rental home that David was living in at the time the body was found. Does have a side-by-side KitchenAid refrigerator and freezer.
That's
now,
on the left there.
The
on the
freezers, obviously, is the left side of the appliance there. And when you look at the dimensions, if you take out all of the racks in there, it is certainly possible that you could have done that. Again,
well, you looked at the dimensions. No,
Right.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, I looked at the dimensions. It's the freezer part of it, right, is about...
Was I muted? How long was I muted? I just saw myself on mute. Recipes Chucky Chingon.
14 inches wide, and then about 27 inches deep, and about 74 inches tall. So that's, you know, give or take.
It's more than enough room. She was
More than
5'3",
exactly.
120 pounds. I don't want to get into how she was dismembered,
of course.
But there are
it was
they have
easily put there. There's more. There's another theory here that's kind of going around the internet.
Because internet sleuths have been following this case, obviously, and one of the things they found was a video that was not shot at this home where he was living.
Right.
But they noticed something in the background.
Yeah, this video is from September 4th, 2024. So before the spring trip in 2025, about eight months before, that was in April, I believe. There's in the background of this video, you see David in the foreground. In the background, there's a large appliance box. You can see it here.
Well, motherfucker on the internet will see an ant on a motherfucking, man, he'll see a drop of lint, a drop of dust on an ant's ass, boy.
And we've isolated it. That apparently is a chest freezer, one of those freezers that you open, so from the top, a deep freeze, and that's usually used to store meat at very, very low temperatures. Now, in movies and things like that, you can see body parts are often in those for serial killers trying to hide bodies and so forth. Right. It goes to a lower temperature and may provide some sort of clue as to how they got this in such a state that it was still partially frozen when it was discovered in the car.
The odd thing about it is the timing, that you're talking September 2024. Now,
and we have no idea if by this spring David had access to that freezer wherever it was.
We do know from the background of the video that it's not in any of David's 2 rental homes.
Right, and also remember, if the the authorities say that they went to that the body may have been dismembered in Santa Barbara County in the spring of this year, that would be months and months and months and months and months later than the time that video was shot.
And he could have been planning it that long. We don't know if that's what happens. It would be odd, but everything's odd in this case.
The importance of this whole freezer element, though, that we haven't touched upon yet, is that it complicates determining the cause and the manner of death for the medical examiner. Right. The extent of the freezing makes it virtually impossible for them to determine whether she died by natural causes, by suicide, by homicide. Obviously, the body was processed, but they're going to have to put this case together through those types of forensics rather than starting with a cause and a manner of death.
We have more information. We are told by people who are directly connected to this case that it is likely the coroner will not determine a cause or manner of death, so that they're just unable to do it because of the way the body was cut up, the fact that it was frozen
for so long,
that
and
they are
thawing out.
the working theory at the medical examiner's office is they will not determine cause or manner of death. It will likely go undetermined. Now, that does not impede the LAPD. They are operating as if this is a homicide. They can proceed as such. Somebody could end up getting charged even if it's undetermined. That happens all the time.
It's a much different case. It's a very hard case.
Right. And just to be clear, it's not just that it was frozen that makes it hard to determine cause of death. It's the fact that it was partially frozen and that the body was so mutilated that...
Now, we should say, David has not been arrested. We are told he is considered a suspect by robbery homicide LAPD, but he has not been charged. Just to underscore that point. What we are told is that the cops have created this very elaborate, almost minute-by-minute timeline of David that they were able to assemble with cell phone records, data from the Tesla, and metadata from social media, that they've triangulated all of this, and they've been able to figure out movements in a very specific way that they've been able to chart.
And that's not just David's movements, but this...
And of course, we've been here screaming, hey, come on, we need something to happen, and if they're investigating, cool. We're humans. We're going to be impatient. It is what it is. We want answers. We want justice for this little girl, you know? But evidently there's even a grand jury investigation going down, so we'll see.
Accomplice. The alleged accomplice is
what I'm thinking is obviously David and this alleged accomplice, maybe not, they wouldn't have been like posting on social media on this, trip in the middle of the night, but maybe they texted each other. Maybe they sent a DM during this trip that the police were then able to go into the data and pinpoint where they were when that message was sent.
Meticulous about this because you don't want to make an arrest without having a sort of firm foundation, especially in these kind of circumstances.
I am told that whenever the LAPD releases its findings, evaluating what it looks like will be very impressive in terms of what the LAPD has done.
Guys from Atlanta here, and the part that shook me the most is...
Shout out Shannon, we didn't talk about her being frozen. Okay. That was probably something I vetted off screen or something. Because I do remember Jesse Weber talking about it. But yeah, we're here. But again, now LAPD is denying it. Is it possible that it happened? Yes. Is it possible it didn't happen? Yes. Is it possible all this speculation is impeding and not helping? Could be. Maybe some of these internet sleuths have helped the police. Police are probably paying attention. We'll see.
The freezer chest in the background, right, in September 2024. And we know now, it wasn't found in any of his homes. Because really, who would put...
That's new info that broke this week. I feel like... No, maybe I was paying attention. Yeah, it probably broke before. Yeah, I wasn't live. We talked about David being a suspect and that it being a homicide. Okay, thank you, Shannon. I trust you. So, yeah. And again, then the word came out that she was frozen. Then the word came out from LAPD that ain't it.
I mean, in this kind of case, who will put a body in the refrigerator that you eat?
Let's switch this up. Let's see if we get to where Harvey talks about the LAPD denying what they're talking about. And then I want to go see what Trap Lord Ross is talking about. We'll go here. 3 days ago.
An LAPD captain is disputing part of a story that we broke over the weekend. A story about David, the singer David, and the body that was found in his Tesla, that body of Celeste Rivas. And the part of our story that we broke over the weekend was that the remains of Celeste...
Harvey be looking miserable as shit, boy.
were partially frozen when they were found in the Tesla. This was back in early September, first week in September, when they discovered this when David's car had been towed to an LA tow yard. Well, the LAPD captain is saying that the body was not frozen.
So herein lies the issue. We have a very well-connected source connected to the medical examiner, the LA County medical examiner, which currently has the body. And that source...
Here's the thing. He's telling me
has
so-and-so currently has the body. Were we not told that the body was released to the family? Did they bury an empty casket? We were told that the body was released. We weren't just told that they were having a ceremony. We were told the body was released.
Quadratic to the medical examiner. We have a very well-connected source connected to the medical examiner, the LA County medical examiner, which currently has the body. And
we agree. This is the reason that I've been covering this TMZ shit along with whatever information we get from other places, because they're always, from the beginning, he's been, like you said, emotionally involved. Do you know there is a connection, allegedly, an alleged connection between Harvey and David's lawyer? LAPD debunked the homicide, his posture. Thank you, Shai. That's what I said when it came out. Keep the story straight. What happened? Who got the body? Did the family get the body, or is the body still at the examiner's office?
That source has doubled, tripled, quadrupled, and sextupled down, actually, now, saying that the body was indeed partially frozen when it was received by law enforcement. So that's kind of interesting, but the medical examiner is just telling a different story, or at least the sources we have, and we have sources in all camps in this, there's a conflict here.
We'd heard that there had been this conflict between LAPD and the medical examiner.
There's been tension for several years. But this is kind of interesting. One of the documents at the LA County Medical Examiner's office has an interesting statement. This has to do with trying to fingerprint Celeste's body. It says, the decedent was not live scanned due to waterlogged fingers. Well, that's kind of interesting.
Right. Why would the fingers
be waterlogged?
Well, certainly if
I didn't mean to laugh. I'm not laughing at what they said. I'm laughing at what Guillermo said. I'm just shooting in the dark. But I would say the guy who moved the Tesla looked like Harvey enough for me to say it was his son. Shit. There's an investigative grand jury having been impaneled after the medical examiner was initially gagged. Yeah, we're about to get to that grand jury and see what that's about. They're saying here that the decedent was not live scanned due to waterlogged fingers.
Logged fingers. Well, that's kind of interesting.
Right.
Oh, man, they just took this child's dignity all the way off the fucking table, man.
Be waterlogged.
Waterlogged. Well, certainly if the body had been frozen for quite some time and then is sitting in a bag in this Tesla out in the blazing hot summer sun, yeah, you would imagine that there's going to be some water in that bag.
So there's, you've got to kind of like look at the big picture here. So we told you that even though there has not been a cause or manner of death determined by the medical examiner, and there may not be because of the state of the body, the LAPD is operating under the assumption that this is a homicide and that David is a suspect. And there is an accomplice, they believe, somebody who helped dismember the body. Now, there is a mysterious trip that becomes really important in this case, we're told, that David took to Santa Barbara in the spring of this year, in the middle of the night in a remote area of Santa Barbara County, spent several hours there. We are told the following, that and this is based on sources, that the body wasn't buried.
Now, at what point is it's a checks and balances between the people, the media, and the law enforcement organizations, right? The authorities. At what point is them, putting out this information impeding and not helping the case? I don't know, man. It's a tangled web. Even the guy next to Harvey has body language like he's been approached by the feds and asked to a soft interrogation and probe with specific questions. He stares at Harvey, waiting to see what the fuck he gonna say. 99% sure they know exactly where he is. I hope so. It's like, my thing is, if you get a hold of him and you hold him down, it don't matter who's impeding what, man. You ain't gonna lose the guy. Don't lose the guy. Somebody got to pay for what happened to that kid.
The strong insinuation that we got was that's where it was dismembered. So what happened to the body between the spring, if this is true, between the spring of this year and September when the body was discovered in the car?
Right. I mean, if this just a theory, I think that it would make sense if they went there just to not have a mess, and that's when they dismembered it, and then it was in a freezer for a long period of time, and then...
It almost points to, it must have been frozen, and I understand the LAPD captain is disputing this, but our sources insist 100% it was frozen, and that completely makes sense, partially frozen when the body came to the ME's office.
It also makes sense with the state of decomposition, right? I mean, from spring to when it's discovered in September, when the body is discovered, they say it's in a state of decomposition, but the waterlogging, all that stuff indicates frozen at some point, whether frozen when they actually pull it out or not, because the state of decomposition of a human body from the spring to the summer would be really pronounced. You wouldn't see fingers and things like that, even to live scan in the first place.
Yep.
I don't even want to go as far as saying, yeah, we know it's frozen, because we don't. This is what we're
being told. Right.
We've got sources, in the investigation, and we have told you appropriately, I believe.
That's Harvey.
What the nature of our
source. Harvey making sure we say it clean. We don't want that lawsuit.
Sources in connection to this. But I don't know how you put the dots together, connect the dots of spring, say it's April, May, June, July, August. That's 4 months. What happened to the body during those 4 months?
By the way, the 4 warmest months in Southern California.
And it would start to smell. The fact that
the odor was there, though, according to the tow shop.
The odor was
there.
No,
at the tow shop.
Right,
at the tow shop, yeah. Right, but I think, remember how long the Tesla was parked on the street? I think that it would have started emitting some sort of, I mean, I'm not a scientist, but some sort of smell before it was like eventually towed away.
And obviously, the one thing we can't explain is how does the body end up in that car? How does the body end up in the Tesla?
And the reason we're so impatient and looking for the end of this shit is because it seems like an incompetent effort to do everything from the criminals. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like there's some masterminds. You can't give them all that credit. It's a slop. So we're looking at it like an open and shut case.
Well, I mean, obviously, someone placed it there, but we can't. Why they would have done it?
It's really dumb.
And the body on top of that was also a process. It was dismembered. There's a lot of factors that go into complicating this issue a lot, right? There's the potential freezing. There's the parts all over the place. It's a very, very sad story. At the end of the day, some of these you see like what belongings she had, what she was wearing, things like that.
Right.
So the one thing that I was told by one of the sources is don't necessarily use logic to try to understand this.
He keeps
repeating that.
Head. I remember when you said that, and it's been ringing my head ever since finding out that the source said that the body was partially frozen. Then that leads me to why was it placed in this car? And I just kept hearing that in my head that a lot of this, there's part of this that is not going to make sense.
Right.
Yeah, well, don't plant that in nobody's head. This shit needs to make fucking sense. Miss me with the part of this ain't gonna make sense bullshit. You know what I mean? Right. Supposed insider. Vamos a ver.
Well, I will tell you what I think. You know, if you've been watching us meet every week or every other week and discuss this gives you quite a bit of context into everything we've seen. You said about a month or 2 months ago you've never seen the way they've clamped down on this from LAPD. Famously, you guys have had great sources there for years. We now know, based on the blast from the medical examiner, why that is, because the medical examiner is trying to, so people understand, the medical examiner is not an arm of the LAPD. The LAPD does have a lab. They do have a forensics division. That is not the medical examiner. The medical examiner is a standalone vertical
I'm straight
area
on
where they want.
I'm straight on what Gergo's got to say. We're gonna go over the same shit over and over. Let's see what this is here. See how he finished with that statement? That was very much so a skeptical, suspicious person. Well, you on Harvey's ass, huh? Guillermo. Let's see what he's talking about right here. Then we'll move on to the
tickets piling up. CustomGPT.ai. It handles up to 93% of.
There is a grand jury that has convened.
This is what Trapler was talking about. Let's get it.
There is a grand jury that has convened in the case involving the death of Celeste Rivas. And this is a really interesting twist. And underlying it all is what I believe is a war between the LAPD and the LA County Medical Examiner. So here's what happened. The LA Times got hold of a petition that the LAPD filed asking to block the medical examiner from releasing any information about the death of Celeste Rivas. This is highly unusual. And as a matter of fact, the LAPD tried this back in September, and the judge in that case said, there's no basis for doing that the LAPD didn't make a case. Well, they went back again, apparently a few days ago, and they asked again, seal all the information that the medical examiner has, and that judge did it. And the medical...
Hold on, let me go back a little bit. That's the thing. They keep saying it was, saying it's a plan in people's brains to take the BS, no cause of death answer. Salutes. I'm with Guillermo. We'll see, man. Harvey in cahoots, someone.
Examiner
Allegedly.
The judge in that case said, there's no... This is highly filed, asking... is a war between... and this is a really interesting twist. And underlying it all is what I believe is a war between the LAPD and the LA County Medical Examiner.
They
So
should be
here's
ashamed of themselves. Both of those organizations should be ashamed of themselves in a war. And whoever's lying, whatever reason, that one got on the other to not fuck with them, you dirty and you know, this little girl's justice in limbo over your bullshit.
Happened. The LA Times got hold of a petition that the LAPD filed asking to block the medical examiner from releasing any information about the death of Celeste Rivas. This is highly unusual. And as a matter of fact, the LAPD tried this back in September, and the judge in that case said there's no basis for doing that the LAPD didn't make a case. Well, they went back again, apparently a few days ago.
Got a judge and got a judge to their liking.
They asked again, seal all the information that the medical examiner has, and that judge did it. And the medical examiner was pissed and came out with a statement saying it's highly unusual. They believe in transparency, obviously a problem. The LA Times has seen that petition. The petition itself is sealed. So you can't even see the LAPD applying to get the order. It's all sealed. The LA Times, they say they've seen the petition, and in it, it says that a grand jury was convened in mid-November, just a week or so ago, and it's an investigative grand jury where they can subpoena witnesses and help the LAPD get information. Because think about it, the LAPD calls somebody and says, we want to talk to you. They say no. But if the grand jury subpoenas them, they have to come and they have to testify. So that's why law enforcement uses these grand juries. So this is an investigative grand jury. It met for a couple of days. We don't know if it's still in force. My guess would be it probably is, because the LAPD is looking at this, trying to get information. And a lot of people, when LAPD calls, says, we don't want to talk. But they have to if it's a grand jury. So this gets back to David. We told you that David, even though nothing is formal, the LAPD is viewing him as a suspect in a homicide. They believe it's a homicide, even though the medical examiner hasn't yet said that, and we're told they may never be able to because of the condition of her body. We also, you may know, reported a story over the weekend that we have been told by sources that her body was partially frozen. The captain of the LAPD came out and said that's not true. We went back to our source connected to the medical examiner, and they tripled, quadrupled, sextupled down and said it was partially frozen. Interesting that her fingers were so waterlogged they couldn't get a fingerprint off of it. This is direct from the medical examiner's documents. It says that they couldn't get that fingerprint because of waterlogged fingers. So that is the current state of this case. To summarize, the LAPD is clearly in the throes of an investigation. They're using the grand jury to get witnesses, presumably, to talk that they otherwise could not get to speak to them. David, we're told, is a suspect. We're told there is a second suspect that has something to do with the dismemberment of Celeste's body. There is a huge conflict between the medical examiner and the LAPD. Lauren Conlin from LA Magazine would also like to chime in, but before she does, would you like to subscribe?
With AI, you can create
any character you want.
Real life.
You get super catfish.
Fantasy, sci-fi, even animation.
I want to echo a couple things that Harvey said here. First and foremost, I have said from the start, it seems like LAPD and the medical examiner's office are completely at odds here. And I spoke to a forensic death investigator the other day, Joseph Scott Morgan, about the possibility of Celeste's body being frozen at one point. Not being frozen upon discovery, but at one point. Now, what he said was a medical examiner would be able to tell based on doing tests with the tissue. So they would be able to see if the body had thawed, had unthawed through microscopic cellular tissue. I mean, his words, not mine. But when TMZ got this leak from a source close to the medical examiner's office, my understanding was that testing had been done. It had been done to the point that the LAPD deemed this a homicide or a murder investigation, although they haven't come right out and said this. This was reported by the LA Times based on the petition they obtained by the LAPD blocking the medical examiner from releasing the death records. They saw this information that they are treating this like a homicide. So again, in my opinion, that came from the medical examiner.
Shout out Guillermo, you can't. Everything bullshit. Everybody's talking bullshit. Here's the thing. We all sit at the crib, right? You just had a little theory that you brought to us about Harvey, right? Because it's a theory. Anybody could run with it, make a video about it. All of a sudden it becomes part of the story and now it's true. It's like, come on, man. The internet's full of shit. Internet's full of shit. TV, all of this. Everybody's lying, man. Everybody's stories. Everybody talking bullshit, man.
Bullshit.
Too much fucking information.
Too much information and shit.
Findings that they don't want out there. They do not want people like us speculating what possibly could have happened to Celeste and who was involved, because they don't want to, I guess, hinder their investigation. Although, I mean, at this point, there's tons of speculation, but I do believe...
See, she just brushed that off. Like, if it hinders it, so what? If what I'm saying out here on the internet about this young lady's case is hindering the shit, I stop talking about it tomorrow. You see, I stopped talking about it when it was not saying nothing. Some people just don't give a fuck. Like, that's not my business.
That the theory of her body being frozen at one point is correct based on that. Now, just piggybacking off of this, on that petition to block the records from being released, the LA Times said they saw a grand jury number, which sort of got them thinking, okay, is a grand jury being convened? And yes, as Harvey said, it's an investigative grand jury. So these types of grand juries could take a really long time. I mean, we're talking months here. It's not going to be easy and it's not going to be fast. However, this is a step in the right direction. The investigative grand juries are used for complex cases, cases where police believe that a crime has been committed, but they don't necessarily have all of the details, they don't have all of the witnesses, they don't have all of the evidence, and with the investigative grand jury, they're going to be able to recommend proper subpoenas. So I'll give you an example. Let's say there is video surveillance, and this is hypothetical, video surveillance of somebody moving that Tesla at the end of July. Now, let's say there are rumors, and I don't know if the rumors are true or not, but that this person who moved the Tesla is not in the country. Well, police don't have the ability to say, hey, get back to the U.S., we want to talk to you. They can't do that unless a subpoena comes from a grand jury. So this type of grand jury is very important to get more information to eventually make an arrest in the case. So I'm happy at this point. I mean, I think, again, that things are progressing, although they're progressing slowly. But the LAPD has made it very clear that they do not want any information out there. I mean, their hand was forced. They finally made their second statement on November 25th, where they said, oh, and this is actually really interesting. What they said was, and this is different from what they had originally told People magazine. I believe it was Captain Scott Williams who told People magazine, you know, there is no evidence that she was frozen upon discovery or that she ever was frozen in general. He added that in parentheses. I cited that. In the LAPD statement from November 25th, he said, or the LAPD said, excuse me, they said there is no evidence that she was frozen upon discovery on September 8th, 2025. That's much different than saying that she was never frozen at all, in my opinion. So they put this out in a statement. They also debunked the decapitation, but they also confirmed that the Santa Barbara trip did happen in spring of 2025. TMZ reported that, and that was a great piece of information. They reported that he was in Santa Barbara County very late at night for a few hours, and the LAPD said, yes, this happened, but we don't know if this necessarily has anything to do with the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez or not. I mean, look, they're not going to tell us, of course. We already know that. So, yeah, their hand was forced. They had no choice but to make a statement. And
see what I said earlier, the train story, how God works in mysterious ways. That young lady was fortunate enough to have it on camera and had instant help. Well, help wasn't so instant. The help came after she got off the train. Okay, I will say that. Also, I believe they got this Celeste Rivas situation on camera too. They just ain't gonna let us see it.
And I don't necessarily think that we're going to hear anything else from the police directly unless, again, their hand is forced by the media.
All right, let's check out this trap Lord Ross before we get out of here quickly. Oh, man. Sad story. More time, more time. Where's that body, though? Because I heard it's everywhere. You can't believe shit on the internet, boy. But it wasn't like we heard that from the internet. We didn't hear that from a Reddit or a Reuters. We saw them have a ceremony. We saw cameramen bombard their ceremony when they wanted privacy. We saw them walking with a tent type shit. Or, you know, they put up a tent. But even that, was that just a ceremony? Was there a body involved there? All right, let's see what Trap Lord's talking about.
Now, this is just the sweetest wallet I've ever seen. GPS trackable, trigger engage.
Trapmore gang, time could well be running out for David, because the latest news that's just come out, while the LAPD and the medical examiners and TMZ are all going to war with each other, fighting about what's actually true, behind the scenes... Allegedly. News has just broken that an LA grand jury has been convened to look at the evidence around David's Tesla, and this might mean that an indictment or an arrest could be following. It might be David, it might be Neo, it might be other people around him. But let's take a look at it, and we're going to find out exactly how close we might actually be to this case being solved. This has just come out in the LA Times today, in the last few hours, I think, that an LA grand jury is hearing the mystery of a dead teen stuffed in the trunk of David's Tesla, sources say. So shout out to Richard Winton and James Quealy at the LA Times. Okay, they're reporting madness. This is the news we've been waiting for, okay? Not quite the news we've been waiting for. You know we're waiting for that big news. But this is major. An LA County grand jury is hearing evidence related to the death of the teenage girl whose body was discovered stuffed inside the trunk of David's Tesla earlier this year. Now, it says here, although the LA Police Department has publicly declined to characterize the girl's death as a homicide, a recent court filing by an LAPD detective referred to the case as a murder investigation. Now, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office has begun presenting evidence to what's known as an investigative grand jury. According to one of the sources who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the case with the media, one of the sources said the grand jury was in session for several days in mid-November. Now, it's the 26th as I'm recording this video. We're now officially in late November, but in mid-November, the grand jury was in session for several days. What were they looking at? Now, it's unclear whether prosecutors had completed their presentation of evidence, but no doubt evidence is being presented, and it says that prosecutors may convene an investigative grand jury to subpoena witnesses and compel other evidence, including videos. Such investigative panels may recommend charges, but cannot themselves return an indictment. But this is a big step towards justice. It says, in addition to the two law enforcement sources, a court petition provided to the Times on Monday contained a GJ number referencing the existence of a grand jury. It is a real thing. It's happening. A lot of things have been kept secret. The medical examiner is fighting with the LAPD. The LAPD is sealing the records. They don't want any information to get out about this case, okay? They're probably pissed that I'm doing all this reporting on the case, but ultimately, it's a free country. You got free speech in America, unlike England, but anyway, that's another story. In that document, LAPD Detective Joshua Byers of the Robbery Homicide Division successfully persuaded a judge to bar the LA County Medical Examiner from divulging autopsy results and other details related to the girl's death that would otherwise be public. This stuff is usually public. Normally, this would be available to the public. They would be reporting. Normally, we would know what's going on. But for some reason in this case, we don't know. But all will come out eventually, and trust me, they're not just loafing, doing nothing behind the scenes. It says it was Byers who characterized the probe into the girl's death as an investigation into murder, according to the document. Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman, who handles some of the county's most high-profile murder cases, has called several witnesses before the grand jury, according to one of the law enforcement sources. Who might they be? Could it be Neo? Could it be Asia? Could it be Steve Fisher, the private investigator? He said on Twitter he can't talk about this case anymore. Does that mean that he is involved? Has he been called into the grand jury? I don't know. Maybe I'm about to get called into the grand jury. I don't have any inside information on the case, so definitely don't try and bring me into the grand jury. But clearly I know more than the average person. But it says Silverman did not immediately respond to a request for comment Wednesday. The DA's office said in a statement it could not disclose any information about grand jury proceedings. An LAPD spokesman referred the Times to a statement issued earlier this week that didn't address the existence of the grand jury. An attorney for David also didn't respond to comment. Nobody has anything to say. Okay, they're saying detectives have been looking into this months. There's all these different things about the car. We've heard all this stuff before. We don't need me to react to all of this stuff. Okay, this is bad. All right, this is bad. So I want to show you just some of the some of the backstory behind this, what everybody's thinking. Okay, so over on Reddit, they're reacting to this news. There's a bunch of posts. People are saying, "Oh shoot, an indictment is coming very soon." Made my day. Finally, some much needed action. Arrest him.
Not me. Yeah, so I definitely getting called into the grand jury. Not me. Huh? I'm getting information 15th hand. I'm getting information 15th hand and. Shit. All 15 hands is talking bullshit, man. All of them.
Bullshit.
Too much fucking information.
Too much information and shit.
There it is. We got a grand jury. The wheels of justice are moving, evidently. All right. Rest in peace, Celeste Rivas. Hopefully they don't shit the bed on this, man. Hopefully everything becomes apparent and they get it all out there and you know exactly what happened from beginning to end. At the end of the day, that little girl was left with no dignity. You know, they've taken her, you know, while she was alive and they failed her. They failed her after, you know, they failed her in taking her life. They failed her after she was no longer here. They failed her, you know. And now we don't even know. As long as her family knows, it doesn't really matter. Who, you know, we were told that by many news sources that the body was released to the family. Even Zoraida questioned, well, they're releasing the body. Don't they got to keep testing? How they doing that? And then we saw a funeral service that we weren't supposed to see. But humans are so thirsty that they impeded on these people's, even her ceremony. Even her ceremony had to be tainted with bullshit. All right, here we are still. So hopefully they're working real hard to get her some real justice because, coño, man. Rest in peace, Celeste Rivas. Bullshit. All right, y'all. We're going to save the Julio Fulio story for another day. I've done approximately 5.5 hours of streaming this evening. Been up here since 7 p.m. It's now 10 to 11, 9 to 11. And your boy is going to get some of them leftovers pop in and, you know, keep it moving from there. Hit that like button if you have yet to do so. Don't leave just yet. Let me shout you out before we go. I remember a cop told me that the wheels of justice are slow, meticulous process that crushes the guilty under its weight. Yeah. Sometimes it crushes the innocent too. I really hope their family gets the right answers they deserve. I agree. Está una cosa cabrón. All right. Boom. Run through over here. Shout out Zoraida. I appreciate you. Shannon. Guillermo. Big June. Matthew. JP. Miguel Lopez. I appreciate y'all. Salutes to y'all. Get up in here real quick. Appreciate y'all hanging out. We're gonna try to get everybody used to this moving over here for general crime, true crime stories. I do what I can. I'm trying to find the right recipe. Trying to find the recipe. All right, salutes to y'all though. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight. I'll get that Julio Fulio video done on my own. Otherwise, we'll do it on next week's live stream. Shout out JP. You can take off your ghillie suit now unless you're stalking somebody's stream that's coming next. Hundreds up in the chat for y'all. I appreciate y'all. Bow. Thanks for the great content as always, Shaw. I appreciate you, Zoraida. Thank you for being here. Right, your boy got to get ready for the snow tomorrow. It's going down in Chi-Town. Yeah. Shout out Matthew. Another great episode. Great research, mate. See you all next Saturday. Cheers. Salutes to you, man. Have a good one, all right? That cop was threatening me when he said it. Yeah, he was trying to run you under his wheels and shit. It be like that. It happens. It happens. All right? Salute to y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all at JP's Discord after party. All right? He owes y'all a Discord after party on this lovely Friday night. All right? Salute to y'all. With that said, I will holla. Peace.